So I'm Vicky. I've trained as a health coach. I'm a nurse consultant in neuro-oncology, so I'm an NHS worker, but I'm combining these two hats. So although I'm talking about stress, the role of the coach is to get you to think about how it impacts upon you, what you can do about it, and thinking about yourself for half an hour. I want you to prioritize yourself. And I'll begin by asking the question, just for you to think about, is whether you believe that you don't have enough time, whether you think that you don't have enough time to think about yourself and to prioritize yourself and things for yourself. So if you think that applies to you, there isn't enough time for me, then just make a quiet note of that. Because one of the things that I'll begin by saying is that in your week, you start with 168 hours in your week. If you work full time, take away 37 and a half. And because we're healthcare professionals, probably a few more. So say take away 40. Then suppose you allowed yourself 7 nights a week of 8 hours sleep every night. I don't think many people get 8 hours of sleep on any night, but suppose you did, you would still be left with 74 and a half hours in your week for yourself, outside of work, outside of sleep. Even if you've got a long commute, you're still looking at 70 hours for yourself and your family and all other competing needs. But I want to challenge you to think in this next half an hour, could you give yourself one of those hours? Just one, just for something for you to decrease the stress that you go through. So stress can come in all different ways, physically, emotionally. It could be financial. Look at the world at the moment, look at the current climate. It may be that finances are the things that worry you the most, that keep you up at night. They're the things that may be causing you the most stress. But can anybody see that? They can't. It's often an invisible stressor, and you might not even notice how much it's affecting you. But it's the sort of thing that when you try to go to sleep at night will just be there in the background. Social stress. This time of year, you've worked hard, you're working long hours, you've got bed pressures, you've got all the winter pressures coming and combining, and you've got friends to see who want to see you. So you might be feeling quite stretched socially. It might be your children, your family. Spiritually, intellectually, occupationally. It may be that you're feeling stretched at work as well. I suspect that may well be the case. So what happens? If you start to feel stressed, what do you notice? Your heart beats faster, your pupils get dilated, you can't think straight, the fog comes in. So although your body is getting alert and ready for action, you're suffering because it's actually making your senses heightened, but you can't stay like that. It's not possible to maintain that sort of level of physical response. You also think about your glucose, so you're releasing glucose, your adrenaline's going. That's tiring. If you were to stay in this state of stress, what could happen? So the allostatic load, this is a phrase that was coined in the early 90s by a neuroendocrinologist and a psychologist, and it really refers to the wear and tear mentally and physically of stress. So if our allostatic load is high, we're not sleeping, we're gaining weight, we're getting immunosuppressed. So we're having viruses, illnesses, coughs, colds, one to the other to the other. We go through that time where we feel like we're always sick. So this allostatic load is high. All of these things are negative. The anxiety, the mood disorders, your brain function, it weighs heavily. And after this is from the chronic, this isn't an acute thing, this is a chronic load that you're weighing on your shoulders. So it's increasing your risk of chronic disease. And you think about those hours, those years you're spending looking after everybody else, trying to help them become more healthy. And then you think about your own health. Let's go back to the initial start. Can you find an hour out of your 74 and a half hours in your week for yourself if it would reduce all of these things or one of these things on your body? When we look at weight gain, we look at our eating habits, which we'll come on to. But as healthcare professionals, we often hear ourselves say, I've got no willpower, as we reach for the chocolates that are on the desk of the nurse's station, or that at this time of year people are bringing in for us. It's not that you've not got any willpower, it's that your blood sugar's low. So you're not looking after yourself because you're looking after everybody else. So it could be hormones. Think about the effect of stress on your happy hormones. It doesn't give you more of them. It reduces your serotonin. It takes away your dopamine. Dopamine is such an important hormone for sleep, for happiness, for pleasure, for relaxation. When we're stressed, don't make the best choices. We don't make the best food and lifestyle choices. We reach for the glass of wine because we're stressed, we need to relax. But what does that do for us? It doesn't make us feel good. It goes round in the circle. Less happy hormones, more stress. That allostatic load is getting heavier. So once we're stuck in this cycle, we need to think, and this is the time just to think for yourselves, what could you do if you feel like you're stuck in that cycle to get out? What about our gut? Think about your digestion. I think we can all think when we think about stress, it's one of the first things that comes to my mind. What happens? Our stomach churns, we can't eat, we feel really unsettled. Anxiety sits deep within the stomach, deep within the gut, because it's that gut-brain connection. And it really makes us feel so unsettled and unsure. And then the physical effects of it. You get reflux, your gut bacteria is all upset and distorted, and so you feel bloated, you feel constipated, you might have diarrhea, the motility changes of the gut. Which leads to the problems that we help other people solve. Irritable bowel syndrome in healthcare professionals is very high, partly because of our diet, partly because we're not looking after ourselves, but also this allostatic load that we're trying to weigh on our shoulders from chronic stress, from the competing needs in our lives. Food allergies are increasing. SIBO is a problem, and actually to reverse the effects of it, you have to work very hard and follow a very unpleasant and strict diet. So let's think, lifestyle factors, what can we do? So exercise is one of those words that some people will instantly be like, oh, she's telling me to go for a run. I'm not telling you to go for a run at all. Let's think about movement instead of exercise. Movement makes us feel good. Exercise may not, because some people just don't like it. But think about movement, moving your body, dancing with your friends, going for a walk. Any movement increases your serotonin, your dopamine. Maybe not when you're walking around the wards in the hospital, but if you were to leave that hospital door for 10 minutes and walk the outside way in between your jobs, it would make you feel a little bit better. When you've moved, you know you sleep better. Think about the days where you've been physically active. You melt into your bed, ready to go to sleep. Even if your brain's feeling really active, your body tends to shut it up for a little while at least to help you sleep better. Doing it consistently really matters. So try to build it into your routine. It's not something that will ever just happen. So if you think about your week and you think about how can you squeeze some movement in, can you get off the bus a stop earlier? Is it possible to walk to work? Is it possible to take 20 minutes out of your day to get outside? What can you do to get some movement into your week? At this time of year, it might not be pleasant outside. So how are you going to manage that to make sure you can commit to it for yourself? So between 6 and 8:30 provides the greatest benefit in the morning to be outside because of the beautiful light that we get. At this time of year, there's no light before 7:15, but still that hour, that first hour of the day when the light's coming up, we feel good if we've seen it, if we've been outside. If you're on an early shift, you're not going to see that early morning light. So you have to try and find it in another way. Can you time a break just to go outside for 5 minutes? Just to get your face in the air outside, even on the bad days? Can you go for a walk when you're not at work with no purpose whatsoever? Just to go outside, just to be. Meet a friend, get some commitment from somebody else, because then you'll definitely do it. And if you don't do it for you, after this, perhaps you can turn around to somebody that you work with and say, tomorrow, let's go for a walk. Let's have a coffee in the morning. What time's their clinic finish? Let's go for a walk then. Then you'll get buy-in and you'll be doing good for someone else. We're far more likely to do it if it's not for us. Stress and sleep. I would imagine, as healthcare professionals on the call, that many of us don't get the sleep that we need, that we want, and haven't done for many, many years. But the lack of sleep increases our stress. Stress also aggravates your ability to sleep. And it's a vicious cycle. So how can you prioritize your sleep? What do you need to do in your pattern now? Are you sitting there thinking, I get home from work, it's late, I have an hour to myself before I have to go to bed, I watch TV, I eat my dinner, and then I go straight to bed? Do you get into bed and go on your phone? Do you get on your phone and play games before you go to bed, or read the news, or go on social media? Do you stimulate yourself before you go to sleep and then find that your mind is ticking away about all the things you've seen or haven't done, or that somebody else has done and you wish you'd done? Have you got a good routine to go to sleep? Especially if you're doing shift work and you're trying to sleep during the day. Is there one thing you can change? Is there one thing you can think of? Is it that you have something sugary or caffeinated in the last couple of hours before you go to bed? Because if you do, that's going to bring you crashing back down and stop you from sleeping. It's not about not having it. It's about, could you have it earlier? Thinking about your self-care. It's one of those phrases that makes people switch off a little bit. So let's think about it differently. Think about meditation. Think about your mental health. Think about keeping your psychology well. Can you be grateful for what you've got? Is there something that you can think of and think, do you know what, I'm really thankful I've got that? Given the things that we see day in, day out, is it possible to think, I'm really lucky that that's not me? Or I'm really lucky that I'm going home to people that love me, or I'm going home to a roof over my head, or I've got food that's in my fridge. Take the small things, whatever it is, just take something joyful from each day. If you look for it, it's there, but it's much easier to see the things that aren't there or aren't there as we wish. So think about doing this in a way that's positive and getting into your practice. Perhaps you can do it walking home from work. What went well today? What did I do well? We're not very good at thinking about what we did well. Take an action plan. Add it to your calendar. There's something called a default diary, which is the things that aren't your tasks. So not your work diary. It's outside of that and it's very specific. So if you're thinking, right, I look at my week, let me plan it out. I need to do all of these jobs in your 74.5 hours that are just for you. You map out what you have to do, and then you map out the bit that's for you. You put that hour in, you look at where that space is, put it in your calendar like an event. If you can tie a friend into it, even better, because it's in their calendar too, which means that you're absolutely going to do it because you won't let them down. Get that alert on your phone, send each other a reminder. At this time of year, it's never been more important. You've got to think about you, and you've got to think about you as being as important as the people you look after. So you need to take this seriously. You need to take this time out seriously. Choose your focus for the week. What do you want it to be? Is there something in the month that you really like? Is there a yoga class? Can you go and walk with a friend once a month? Can you go and do an evening class that's mindful? Can you take any time at all to do something that you love? Think about the things you enjoy that feel really unachievable because you don't have the time. What could they be? Do you enjoy cooking? Is it that once a week you need to think, I'm going to make myself, my family, something really delicious? But do it that's something that's good for you. Maybe try something new. Talk to your friends. Think, don't wait for January. Don't make resolutions. Set goals. what could your goal be for self-care, for gratitude, for being well, for thinking about you for an hour in a week? What could your goal be? Do you want to be fitter? Do you want to sleep better? Do you want to worry less about money? What do you do to make those things happen? Is it possible to make those things happen? You won't know unless you try. So try and put something in your diary, choose what it's going to be, choose a different thing each week if that's what you want to do. But just do something different, change it up. At this time of year, changing it up makes you feel so good. And then food. Food as healthcare professionals. If you eat well, you feel good. We know that. Is it hard to eat well? Yeah, it is when you're working and you're busy and you're prioritizing everybody else and you're feeling stressed because your eating choices aren't the best ones. Women biologically are more affected by a poor diet. So for the women on the call, we need to think about that. How can we reduce the stress? Let's see. So less processed, more real food, whole foods. Eating regularly. If you're more than 3 out of 5 on the hunger level, you're not going to eat well. So you need to think, what can you do in those moments? You need to eat protein with every snack and meal. That can be a handful of nuts. It can be some cheese. It can be vegetables. Broccoli is 5% protein. Complex carbohydrates. Cauliflower is a brilliant carbohydrate. What isn't is things like pasta. They don't make you feel good by and large. Even whole wheat pasta, whilst it's better than white pasta, it doesn't leave you feeling satisfied. It often leaves you feeling sluggish and heavy. So what can you have instead? More fruit and veg. Eat fat. Fat is not bad. We're often told fat is bad, and fat can be a sin. You know, if you think about things like Slimming World, it's less points. Healthy fats are good for you, and they actually slow down the release of sugar. So if you were to have cake in your office, if you were to dollop on a spoonful of Greek yogurt or cream cheese or something that was a good fat that went with it, that would slow down the release of the sugar. So you wouldn't get the same hit and then the harsh come down afterwards, which leaves you wanting more sugar. So think about the fats that also will combine things and then slow down the release of your food. You'll feel fuller for longer. I would have whole fat versions, not the low fat, because they've always got other things in. Go for the real food, the whole food as it was intended, real butter, full fat yogurt, Greek yogurt. Milk, it's about taste, and there's lots of alternative tastes now with almond milk, oat milk. Lots of them are quite high in fat, but that's not bad. It's about choosing what's good for you, what you enjoy, and having it in a quantity which is reasonable. If we have too much of anything, it's not good for us, but we need to dispel the thought that fat is bad. So when you're thinking about your snacks you could take for work, then you need to think, oh, okay, which would be a good option? What's practical? What will keep me full? Peanut butter and apple chunks, that's a great one. Oat cakes with cream cheese. A handful of nuts if you're able to have nuts. They're great snacks and they leave you feeling much better than a quick Kit Kat or the chocolate that was on the side. So foods to try to minimise. You don't have to avoid anything. It's just to try to not make these the things that are your mainstay. So junk food we know doesn't make us feel good. It's nice in the moment, but it doesn't stay. Be aware of the amount of alcohol that you have and what that impacts on you in terms of your mental functioning, your physical functioning, and then the choices you make following alcohol. When you're having a glass of wine or having a drink, try and have something on the side, olives, nuts, whatever it would be. Just try and have something to eat on the side because it will help with the effect of the alcohol, especially at this time of year. You're going out to Christmas parties, you're probably going straight from work, you've not had time to eat. You'll thank yourself if you manage to have something on the side of that glass of wine. It is hard when you're doing shifts, when you're working long hours, when you're running from one thing to the other. So plan in advance. Try to make it that 80% of the time you're choosing well, then 20% of the time, have what you like, have what feels good, have what you fancy, have what's available. This is not to say that you can't have those things, but will you feel good from having them? Not as good as you will if you don't have them or if you have something else. But it's all about planning when you work the hours that you do. Caffeine. So caffeine is very powerful on your nervous system. Your body produces stress as a response to caffeine. Because you can feel, if you think about the stress response and the beating heart and the sort of slightly sweaty palms and the feeling quite flushed, that's an effect that you get from caffeine. So choose it wisely. If you're feeling anxious, don't have a coffee. It's not going to make you feel better. But if you're feeling that you want something, a little pick-me-up, or you really enjoy that mid-morning coffee, have it. Have it with something to eat to take the effect off the caffeine, not something sugary, but have it with something with protein to lessen the effect of the caffeine and enjoy it. If you don't need it at other times, choose a decaf or a herbal tea and lessen the impact. Try not to have it later in the day. If you're having trouble sleeping, try not to have it in the afternoon even. Try and have decaf because all of it will add up to stop you from being able to sleep well. So it isn't about not having it. It's about choosing the one that you want. And if you're buying your caffeine at work, if you're having a coffee from the coffee shop, ask them for one shot. None of us need two. And we need to make the most of every moment. This is what we learn. This is what we see. This is what our jobs tell us. This is what we know from the people that we look after. We tell them that they need to make the most of every day and each moment. We need to do that too. So this space is to think about, what can you do to build your resilience? What can you do to reduce the amount of stress on you? And taking one moment to think about, is there anything that your body's asking you for? Are you feeling physically stressed? Are you feeling mentally stressed? How high is your allostatic load? How long do you think you could keep that load on your shoulders? Is there anything you could do to reduce that? One thing in your 74.5 hours that you've got spare in your week. This is the moment to think about it because you're in December now. The world's rushing at you. You've got a lot of things to do. So just try and make a note or speak to somebody. When you finish this, speak to somebody about what you're going to do to reduce your stress, to prevent the stress from building up. Use your network for help. One of the brilliant things about being in the healthcare system is that we often work with lots of brilliant people. Turn around to one of them and say, actually, do you know what? I'm feeling really stressed about this, especially if it's a work, occupational stress. Is it a person? Is it a job? Is it a task? Is it knowledge? What is it? Is the workload too big? Is it too heavy? Speak to somebody. You may be surprised that they can help you. Most people that you work with will have experienced stress and they will recognize it and they will want to help. So just share that problem. If it's something that is work related, you could do that today. This is about taking action, living every moment today. So ask yourself a question. What can you do today? Can you change your sleep this evening? Can you book something in for the next week to go and do to make you feel better? What can you do? Is it that you're going to make better food choices? And when you think about the choices you're making to take to work with you this week, could you think that actually what I can do is I can plan in advance? So I'm going to take snacks, oatcakes and cream cheese, peanut butter and apple, whatever it is that you want to take. Could you make those plans so that you've got something at work to avoid the abundance of the chocolates and the biscuits, which is very wonderful that people are bringing with their thanks to you at this time of year. But it would be nice if there was an odd orange in there or something that made you feel good. So their gratitude is lovely. So drink in their gratitude, but not their chocolate, because it won't leave you feeling great. And if you do, have some nuts on the side. Have something with some fat in on the side to lessen its impact. It's hard to think of ideas when you think about how busy you are. that you could take with you to work that might be helpful. So if you do want any ideas of what you could take with you to work, then I've got a leaflet that I can send to you. So just pop your email in the chat and I will send that to you, because it is hard to think about things that are practical to take when you're at work and you're short of time. So do just pop that in the chat before we finish, and I will email you some suggestions of food that you can have on the go that will be better at this time of year, that you will want, that you won't feel sad opening up while everybody else is opening up the celebrations. It will be something that you look forward to and you will see as your reward. So I'm very keen to finish on time because I feel that that's very important when everybody's got such a busy day. So I'm very grateful for you giving yourselves this half an hour just to value yourself, because you should. Everybody's doing such a brilliant job, and you're the last people that you think of in terms of prioritizing. So please think about yourselves, make yourself a little promise of what you can do, and look after yourself at this time of year. But if you've got your colleagues around you that you can turn around and even speak to them about what could they do, notice if they're feeling stressed, turn around and suggest to them that there's something that you've thought about doing, going for a walk together. Try and bring them with you with this journey, because they will feel real gratitude and you're all worth it because you're all doing an amazing job. So thank you very much for giving up your time. There's 3 more minutes. If anybody's got any questions, you're welcome to unmute or pop them in the chat. But otherwise, everybody who's put their email in the chat, I will send you a booklet of ideas of what you could have.